The night janitor's daughter. Growing up, I'd always been aware of my father's nocturnal work schedule. His job as a night janitor at the local university consumed most of his waking hours, but what I hadn't anticipated was that his work extended far beyond just sweeping floors and emptying trash cans. The truth unveiled itself in stages, each one more chilling than the last. The first hint was an earring I found in my father's coat pocket while doing laundry. It wasn't mine. It wasn't even gold like the ones I wore. Instead, it was a cheap trinket made of silver, tarnished and dull. Then there was this unusual fragrance clinging to his clothes, sharp and floral, yet somehow familiar. It wasn't just on his clothes, though. It seemed to permeate every fiber of his being, and it left me feeling uneasy. But the final piece fell into place when I stumbled upon an old newspaper clipping tucked away in a dusty corner of our attic. A grainy photo of a woman bearing an uncanny resemblance to myself stared back at me from beneath the headline, "Missing." My heart pounded against my ribcage like a trapped bird as the earth beneath my feet seemed to shift abruptly. My father, who had always been loving albeit distant, suddenly became an enigma wrapped in mystery. All these unexplained late nights at work suddenly made sense. The unsuspected disappearances of local women no longer seemed like random occurrences, but rather pieces of a horrifying puzzle falling into place. A cold dread seized me by the throat as realization dawned on me. I couldn't ignore it or pretend I hadn't seen that haunting photo or smelled that blood-tinged perfume anymore. But confronting him would be akin to standing on the edge of an abyss and willingly throwing myself into the darkness. Days melded into one another, forming an unsettling dance between suspicion and denial. In a desperate attempt to provoke a reaction, I started leaving subtle hints around. Flyers of missing women casually left on the fridge, news reports about serial killers strategically turned to face him. His eyes grew colder with each passing day, the forced smile on his lips thinning. One night he was late again. The house echoed with an eerie silence that seemed to amplify my growing fear. Propelled by a terrifying curiosity, I ventured into the basement, a place I hadn't visited in years. It smelled faintly of bleach and something more sinister, something that made my stomach churn. Flicking on the dim light revealed a chilling sight. A makeshift altar stood at the far end of the room, illuminated by a single candle's glow. Lying atop it was a woman whose hair matched the fiery red hue of the woman in the photo from the attic. Her lifeless eyes stared up at me accusingly as if mirroring my own horror. The sound of footsteps startled me, and I spun around to see my father emerging from the shadows, his face devoid of any emotion. "So you finally figured it out," he said in an eerily calm voice that lacked any hint of remorse or guilt. The next few moments were a blur as adrenaline coursed through me like wildfire. I lunged for a poker lying nearby and ran blindly through our home, driven by a pure instinct to survive. He caught up with me at the staircase. His grip tightened around my arm like iron shackles. We struggled but abruptly tumbled down together. When I came to, pain shot through my ankle, and my blurry vision revealed my father's motionless body at the bottom of the stairs, surrounded by an expanding pool of blood. Soon after, blaring sirens shattered the peacefulness of our usually quiet neighborhood, offering not just assistance but also a chance to escape this never-ending nightmare. The trial that followed was nothing short of a media circus. The revelation about the quiet janitor's monstrous secret sent shockwaves through our community. I moved away after recovering from my physical and emotional wounds, his heinous crimes casting a long shadow over my life. Years later, on an Easter Sunday, I found myself in a park watching children gleefully hunting for brightly colored eggs under the warm sunshine. A silver earring glinting in the sunlight caught my eye. It was identical to the one I had found years ago in my father's coat pocket. My heart pounded in my chest as I picked it up, only to find an inscription on its back, "To my beloved daughter." A cold chill ran down my spine as realization dawned upon me. There were 2 earrings originally, and now I held both in my hands. A terrifying thought crossed my mind. What if there was more than one monster hiding behind the facade of an ordinary janitor? Abruptly, the innocent peals of laughter morphed into blood-curdling shrieks as children scattered in a frenzy. Their small fingers trembled as they pointed toward a figure that had materialized from the shadows of the undergrowth. He clutched a mop in his gnarled hands, and the all-too-familiar sight sent shivers of fear down my spine. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Thank you for watching.